this is X Stitches. That's my YouTube channel about cross stitch and other crafty things, mostly cross stitch adjacent. And yeah, I'm here with an update. It's been probably almost 2 weeks, I think, since I last filmed. Yeah, it's been over 2 weeks if I'm looking at my calendar correctly. So it's gonna be really great to catch up with you all. It's just been busy around here, lots of stitching, lots of crafting, getting ready for Stitch North, and I'll share some of that with you today. So today we're going to talk about some finishes that I have, some starts, whips, haul, plans, like the full gamut is what I have for you today. So first, a little bit of a life update. We have finally gotten some spring weather here in Western Michigan. We had a day last weekend where it was 80 degrees. It was beautiful. We've been sleeping with our windows open, and we even heard some spring peepers. So I'm not sure what areas of the country have them. They were something that I learned about from my husband when I moved to Michigan. So that's those early spring frogs that when it's warm in the evenings in the early spring, you can hear them just serenading all night long. It's really, I feel a fun way to kind of fall asleep. It's relaxing, and it means that the warm weather is finally coming. So the day after we had 80 degrees, we had snow. So we woke up to snow on the grass, and on like the house roofs and those kinds of things. The roads were fine. And then it melted as it warmed up or became daylight, but it snowed all day on Monday. And didn't end up sticking again until the sun went down, and we woke up even Tuesday morning to a little bit of snow in the grass. So our fruit trees are blooming. Michigan, this part of the state is a little bit like Northern California type weather, so we have a lot of fruit trees, and even people have vineyards near us. So this time of year, you're in a hurry for it to get warm and to warm up, but I am always worried about the fruit trees, because if it warms up too soon and then we get a cold snap, it can have a negative effect on the fruit harvest. So I don't know what the impact will be. Our fruit trees, we have a cherry tree and a plum cherry in our yard. Both of those fruit trees the buds seem okay, the blossoms seem okay. It's warm now again. I think the air just kicked on. We did when it finally, I think it was on last Saturday, when it got to 80, we have a lot of west facing windows, and so the sun came over the roof. And it was 80, and I texted my husband, like, I think we have to turn the air on. I don't want to, but I think we have to do it. So we did run the air a little bit so far, but there's a small window we get where we can maybe get away with not running the air. But we have a 2-story, and we sleep, of course, in the upstairs. So if it's hot, we're babies. We don't like to sleep in the heat. So if we can't get the upstairs cooled off very quickly, we get that air turned on. So that's kind of what's been going on with weather and those kinds of things. I did want to thank everyone for hanging with me through the whole butter tart tirade that I had at the end of my last video. What's really ironic is that very next weekend, I went to the grocery store with my daughter. Typically we do shipped, just because with our, we both work full time, we're busy. I would rather stitch than grocery shop. And so it's kind of a trade-off that we make. And for whatever reason, 2 Saturdays ago, my daughter and I went to, we have Meijer here in Michigan, which is kind of like a super Walmart or like a super Target. And we had to go there for something, so we just grabbed a bunch of stuff. I don't do shipped like on the middle of a weekend day. Like it just doesn't go well. The selection isn't, it's just easier not to do it then, is what I've found from my experience. So went to the store to grab what we needed. And well, since we're here, we might as well do a full shop. So I went to grab pie crust to make butter tarts, and right on the bottom shelf underneath the pie crust, and I was going to grab the box and I forgot, was a box of tart shells, pie crust tart shells. And I was like, Alex, come here. Oh my gosh. So, they are still, so they're the Pillsbury. It says that they're new on the box. So this is a new development in the States. But it's still the pie rolls, right? So like the pie crusts that come like they're rolled out, but they're rolled up flat. So that all you have to do is kind of thaw them a little bit and lay them flat into the shell you're using. That's what I typically use for tart shells, cut them out in circles and then shove them in muffin pans. And that's what these essentially are, except they were hexagons. So they fit the tart shells a little bit better. Or I'm sorry, the muffin tins a little bit better. So it's made for standard size muffin tins. And yeah, it comes, I think, in 14 in a box, 16 in a box, something like that. But like it's still this pie crust shape, so there is a little bit of extra around where the hexagons are cut. So I was able to get probably a tart and a half with all the scraps, kind of rolling them up and pushing them back in the tin. So it did make it. I did make butter tarts for Easter, and it made it a lot easier. I didn't have to worry about the cutting part. So they were probably most similar to what I've been used to getting from Canada for tart shells. Because I've made tarts, I've primarily made them myself. I've been using mini muffin tins mostly, and so I prefer like that 2-bite size shape. So it's just something that's just, it is what it is. But I was super excited to have them. They were buy 3 get 2 free, so of course I bought 5 boxes. They freeze great. I was pretty excited that I'm like part of the way there. That doesn't mean that I won't go to the grocery store while we're in Brampton, because let's see, Dad's cookies, especially the Goody Rings, those are a childhood favorite. Of course, O. Henry's and Sweet Marie candy bars. There's just all sorts of stuff that all dressed potato chips. I'm not a ketchup potato chip fan, but I love all dressed potato chips, so we'll be grabbing some of those. Maybe I'll grab some before the retreat to share with my table mates. So anyways, thank you for hanging out with me while I talked about that. I thought it was pretty funny that as soon as I went on that tirade, I found butter tart shells in our grocery store. Of course, there's not a picture of butter tarts on them. You know, it's a picture of like a lemon tart, which would also be delicious. But in with that, I've mentioned this a little bit, but I have been thinking about designing. I have a few design ideas in my head, and I thought about Jer X stitches, but like, if you haven't heard me say it, it's hard to know like what the name actually is, how to pronounce it. Is it Jer? Is it Ger? Yeah, it's a little bit too like odd for like mainstream is kind of what my thought process was. So I'm like, what can my design company be? And the day or so after I filmed and was like kind of replaying my rant about butter tarts and like how ridiculous it was, I was like, butter tart needle art. So I like did some Google searches. I have a website. It has nothing on it, so don't go there yet. I haven't had a chance to build it out, but I did create myself a little logo, and I designed something for Stitch North, which I'll show you in a second. So there's that. I'm still kicking around the ideas in my head. The main idea that kind of started the whole thing, well, my husband's been, telling me, you should design and do your own things. And so like, okay, whatever. And then, so, he's been kind of just mentioning it every once in a while. So a few months ago, like an idea clicked in my head, and it requires, it's fusion. Let's just say like, it's still it's cross stitch. It's 100% cross stitch, but it's a fusion of a few ideas, and there's a historical component in with it. And so I have a lot of research to do around antique samplers and time, like features of those antique samplers based on when they were stitched and in what location they were stitched. And these ideas sort of play off of each other. So one idea, I would need a certain set of information, and then like the next adjacent idea would also require different research. Same topics, but like for a different area and a different time frame, essentially. So more to come on that as I have time to do those things. Work has been very busy. I have been utilizing some of my mental brain power to get ready for something at work that I'll talk about once it happens. So I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet, but it was really fun to design what ended up being 2 projects. So I'll show you them because they're finished. One is an FFO-ish. It says FFO'd as it, where did it go? Okay. It says FFO'd as it can be before I get to Stitch North. Also, things look a little bit different. I worked from home today, and then after my meetings were over, I needed to like clean up my desk and stuff, and I ended up moving my work desk so I share my work desk with my craft room. And so like I'm sitting at my desk where my recliner used to be, and my recliner's over my shoulder, so I can still pivot my computer monitor. I have a Google, what's it called? Google TV plugged into it, so that I can, mostly YouTube, I can sit in my stitching chair and like watch TV, stream, whatever I want, watch YouTube. So part of the reason I wanted to move my desk was because when I was sitting at my desk for work, or if I wanted to film from sitting at my desk, so I have places to put things, which is something I've been struggling with on this channel. You've been witness to. It just showed my closet, which I tried to keep really nice. I took the doors off of it because I needed that extra space, and I kind of wanted it to be more open and nice looking, but I just didn't love that. And so especially for work, I felt like I had to have it either a background on or it blurred. This background for my work, when I have meetings, I'm happy to show off my cross stitch, and have a big blank wall behind me in my office at work. And so I'm starting to think of which pieces I'm going to have my office like refreshed and repainted this summer. And so when I move back in this fall, thinking about if there's anything I want to take with me to hang behind me, or create to hang behind me. So it's yet another idea for things that I want to design. Okay, my designs. So I should credit this idea from Colorado Cross Stitcher. She does what is it called? I haven't participated because I've always like come across her little stitch along. Is it cross stitch camp? She does a couple times a year. I think that's what she calls it. So she creates like a little retreat badge or a cross stitch camp badge. And then there's a theme, and like the themes just haven't worked out with and the timing of like what I've been stitching or what I've wanted to stitch, or I have this weird like need to stitch, want to stitch. We've talked about it before, where I walk a tightrope between having lots of whips that overwhelm me and wanting to start things. So long story short, longer probably, I wanted to, Stitch North is coming up. So Stitch North, for those of you who don't know, it's a retreat, cross stitch retreat put on by Evertote. So Evertote is located in London, Ontario, not far across the border from Michigan from me. And then they do a cross stitch retreat every year in Toronto. Last year, I believe, was the first year, but it was planned, I think, previously, and then COVID got in the way. This year they're doing 2 weekends. I'm going to weekend 1, which is a week from today. I will be leaving to go. I'm so excited. I'm like finishing touches on things. It's getting close enough now that I feel like I can start packing. So I wanted to have a way to commemorate my first cross stitch retreat in person. I showed last time that I made a stitching mat to lay at my spot, and so that's sort of where this idea that having a retreat badge that I can put on my retreat mat and then, build on it, sort of like how you would collect stickers on your reusable water bottle, like that kind of thing, is where my idea came from. So I was kicking it around in my head for weeks. I wasn't, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? I did it. how do I share it? Should I share it? So I put it on I put a little like picture of my finish on, and I'll put a picture of it here. I put it on the Stitch North Facebook group page, was like, hey, would anybody want to stitch this? I'm planning on bringing the pattern with me, but like you won't have the tools to do it if you don't know about it. Like, what details do you want before? And people were like, share it now. So I went onto my computer on WinStitch, like did some finalization. And so I'll show you first. This is my finish. So it says Stitching Coffee Friend, Stitch North 2023. And from what I hear, Tim Hortons makes a pretty strong appearance at Stitch North. And so that's kind of what the cup is sort of modeled after. It's based on. To finish this, I did the method where you measure how far you want your border to be. You double it. So you measure away from each edge that distance. You use your needle to pull a strand out to get your straight line that's, a line that's going to be straight with your stitching, essentially. And then you trim your piece there, and then you do the same, like with your actual border this time that you want. So I think mine ended up being like 5/8 or something. You measure, pull the strand that distance, and then fold it over. So then you use like that missing linen line to fold your piece over and press. So I did that. So I did, once around cutting, and then the second time around folding and ironing. And then because this was going to go on a retreat mat, and I use a pin stitch the way that Carrie from Evertote teaches about it, I was I just wanted my stitches to be secure, because my retreat mat is, right, that's what it's meant. It's going to get somewhere. That's what it's meant for. So I did put some fusible, just light fusible interfacing. I don't know if it's SF 101, but it would be a similar weight if it's not. It's a lighter weight one. And just cut a scrap piece that I had in my interface bin and put it on the back, and it helped hold my edges back until I can get them stitched down, and it also kind of helped secure my stitches from behind. So my plan is to whip stitch this on my retreat mat. Since I wanted to have a sample for my pattern, to put with my pattern for a picture, I stitched mine early, and so all I'll have to do is whip stitch. So like I said, I finished it completely, and like set it on my retreat mat and took my little cute picture for my pattern, and then posted it on Facebook. And someone on the Stitch North Facebook, Facebook group was like, I love it, but I don't drink coffee, I drink tea. I'm like, well, of course, like not everyone drinks coffee. So I paused for a second. I was like, I can totally do this. And Tim Hortons sells tea too. I mean, it's not the fancy tea, but they do have a few flavors of tea. So this is what I designed. So stitching, oops. So it says Stitching Tea Friends. This is on a piece of 40 count. I think this one's Snickerdoodle maybe. It was left over from a finish. Don't ask me which one, I don't remember now. Or I didn't have it in my I might have had it in my stash as a leftover from like a cut of something that I'm working on right now. So, but I think it's either Dirty Porcelain or Snickerdoodle. Doesn't matter. The colors that I used for both are Merlot from Roxy. Of course, I use Roxy Floss. So Merlot from Roxy Floss Coat, 11 points more, which I got as a one-of-a-kind, but I think they have now as like an actual floss color. They have 11 points and 11 points more as a floss color, so it's a little bit pinkier. And then Espresso for the brown. And I like the little tea one because it's got like that little cute tea bag on the side, so it's pretty adorable. So I will, started, this is my start, one of my starts and finishes for this week. So I started and finished this yesterday, so I still need to do like the thread pulling and the hemming so that I can stitch this on as well for at the retreat. So these are my first two finishes, and they were cute and easy and not cheating at all, because a finish is a finish, even if it's small. All right, so let's go. So I had an FFO and a finish, fully finished object, and then just a standard finish. And I kind of got out of order because that whole story around designing. So I have a design company-ish company. It's a rough term. and a logo. So my next finish is something that I've had finished for a really long time. I've been like moving it around my sewing room, my sewing area. Just, I don't know why I was putting off finishing it because I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, and I just made it into an ornament. So I haven't put like a hanger or anything on it yet. But this was, I think I finished this back in January. This is by Satsuma Street. It's on perforated paper. It's the kit that I got. Give me a second because I can't remember the name, so I will look it up. It is, I lied. I finished this last year, so it's not in here. I believe it's one of the ones from this 2022 holiday collection. Tree Topper? It's called Tree Topper. I knew it would come to me. So I just finished it on a piece of felt, and I put my initials and the year on it. I thought I looked it up when I finished it in 23. It might be that I just didn't see it on my whip list at first glance. So he's adorable. He's done now. I don't know what I'll do with him yet, but he's gonna go somewhere. Okay. I'm gonna save the best fully. I have so many fully finishes. I don't even know what happened. So my C is for coffee. This is Heartstring Samplery. This was the stitch along that we did with Caroline from Evertote. So this is her Roxy Floss Co conversion and kit that I purchased on, I think this was on Snickerdoodle. Mine was 36 count, and I used a frame from Signed and Numbered. And this was my second attempt at ordering a frame from Signed and Numbered because I thought I was stitching it small enough to go down a size, and I wasn't. So the glare there. I got it laced and all good to go. And this will go down. I chose the gray doesn't, I don't love the gray with the stitch overall, but my coffee space is in our butler's pantry, and it has gray subway tile. So it's like wood and gray colored, wood and gray and white. And so that's why I went with the gray, and I think it'll look really good down there. So now that I've shown you, it can go down by my coffee spot. Okay, my last fully finish is the one that I'm the most excited / proud about. Like, I just stare at it and I'm in love. And I struggled for a little, I didn't struggle for long because I finished it one day and I fully finished it the next day. But like the last 3 or 4 days of stitching on this particular piece, I was really struggling with it, what to do with it. I love it so much. I love the colors so much that I wanted it to be somewhere where I would be able to see it a lot. But I also felt like I loved it so much, it deserved to be framed. But if I frame it for right now, the places that it would go would either be our bedroom, our guest room, which we never go in, but our guests do when we have guests, but we don't, like, we go in there to get stuff out of the closet, but like I can't leave the door open because we don't let our cat in there, because then if people come over who have allergies, there's no cat. That's like a cat fur free zone essentially. So it could go in the guest room, but then I would really not see it very much. It could go here. If it's the Evertote Modern Folk Embroidery Roxy Floss Co wall rule. But it's in my sewing room, which I maybe would have felt differently now having it as my background. But at the time, I didn't have this set up this way, and like I just wanted it to be something that like I could love all the time. All the time is strong, a lot. So the other idea was to put it in a bag. I've seen Caroline do some bag finishes. And so, like, what do I do? So I went to a quilt shop that I had been at that I remembered had wool. It's been a while since I've been there. They don't have wool. They have wool. They have wool kits. They have wool fat quarters. They have wool large pieces. They have wool on not batting. What's it called? The giant things that fabric goes on that I completely know the word for. And you're probably screaming at me. Bolts? I knew it was B word. wool on bolts. Like this place is like legit wool. They probably, I mean, it's not, they don't have as much wool as they have like quilting fabric, but they have a lot. So I found some beautiful pieces of wool. I found a wool kit that I'm not going to show you that I've started. That's like wool applique and like that whole bunny trail. But I got home and like almost immediately finished my Dream of Winter Garden into a bag. So it is a wool bag. I wish if I'd have done it again, I would have double layered it and put maybe like lined it on the inside. Like with wool, you don't have to line it. If I'd have done it again, I would have lined it and used interfacing with the wool so it was a little bit sturdier. It's a little floppy. It's not as floppy as if you didn't interface fabric. It's probably, it's about as floppy. The floppy level, the scale of floppiness is about on par with cotton with a little bit of batting in it, which is fair. But this bag is meant to hold some heavier things, which is why it maybe feels a little bit floppier. Anyways, if I could do it again, I'd have interfaced it. I didn't interface it, and it's fine. I did interface this piece. So I did that same technique where I, pulled the thread and cut so I had a straight line, and then pulled thread and folded, and then put interfacing on the back. Because again, I want to make sure that the stitching holds up to use. And then I used the herringbone stitch that I taught myself, thank you YouTube, and some Valdani thread that I got to match the bag to embroider it onto the side of the bag once I made the bag. This edge was the hardest because of the direction I had to sew versus like how I had to hold the bag once it was made to get it on. I did a really small, like I think this was a 1/2 inch or maybe 3/4 of an inch. I don't remember. I did a little tiny box finish on the bottom, and I left it. I used one giant piece of wool so that I didn't have to piece the bottom. And then I made the fob that I had on my project bag for this project as the label, then became my zipper pull. And I love it. And what do I have in this bag? So it's, the nice thing about wool, right, is like you don't have to, I just have the little edges in there. You don't have to hide anything. I have a business card from someone from Stitchy Group. I have my light, my clip light that will clip onto my scroll frames when I hold them in my hand. Getting ready for Stitch North. Alcohol hand sanitizer. I was wondering though, I might want to take wipes, right? Because if we get something on your hands, you don't have to run to the bathroom. And then a bunch of candy. It's like so Easter candy. And then like some other candy I found in my cabinet. Like with every holiday, I go through my candy like my little candy spot in one of my cupboards and like kind of clean it out so that there's room for the rest because I don't eat as much as I buy clearly or get in my Easter basket. So this will be going to Stitch North with me. But this bag fits my tablet that I have Pattern Keeper on. Excuse me. So my tablet and like my electronics and snacks, I guess, will go in here. And I did take this with me to Stitchy Group too. So I love it. Can you see it? Let me hold it up. This was, again, Dream of Winter Garden by Modern Folk Embroidery. It was the free pattern that came at the end of our Evertote Roxy Flosco Modern Folk Embroidery Holiday Countdown box, which I think are still for sale. So if you want one this year, it was amazing. Go get one. Yeah, I'm super excited. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Can't stop looking at it. Okay, I'll put it down. You know what I should have done? You see those berries right there? It'll focus. Those should have been eyelets. They should have been eyelets. But you can do those things later. It's fine. I have more finishes. Can you believe it? In an attempt to whip down to get ready for Stitch North, and also because I just wanted to be able to start a few small things and I wanted to finish, sorry, my note page fell down. I wanted to finish a few small things before I started a few small things. I finished my cauldron. I haven't ironed it, clearly. I finished cauldron cleaner. So this is on 32 count antique white Lugana, I think. And this is Hands-On Designs Scary Apothecary series. Cauldron Cleaner is the name of this pattern. They're meant to be finished as like hard back. What are those called? Like a flat fold, but in a pendant shape that you would hang. So is that I don't know if that's a hard finish or not, but I used a Leo and Roxy Flosco conversion that I created for I have the whole series. And then there is some Krynic in there. So the stars here are Krynic. And then there was a little bit of gray Krynic for those Algerian islets, Smyrna crosses. I wanted to call them Algerian crosses, and I don't think that's what they're called. So, super fun, super simple. It was a lot of orange. This orange fill-in was for real. It was a lot. It was good. I thought since I was getting kind of not re-kitting, so I kit up each one in like a little bag, and then I have another project bag that like everything is in. The extra pieces of linen, the floss, the patterns, because you don't use every color that you need for the whole set, you don't use in each one. And so I got out Bat Bomb. This one is one that I finished last year. This was the first finish of this grouping. Also with all Leo and Roxy except for the called for Krynic. So that one's too, it's got a little, you can see the shimmer in the bat wings. So that one was fun too. And I like my conversion. I have enough, I have so much Roxy. I feel guilty buying other overdyes, and I love stitching with Roxy, so why wouldn't I just convert it all over? Okay, I think I'm finally finished with my finishes. Let's see. I have been working on like little tiny stitchy gifts and projects for Stitch North that I'll take maybe some pictures of or a video of before I put them all together and finish that up. So my table mate gifts are almost, the like actual work of my table mate gifts are now done. None of those things are a requirement. They're just something that I wanted to do for my table. Like it's extra that I'm choosing to do. It's not an expectation. So those are like, the work is done now. I just want to fill it with them with a little treat and figure out how to package them for each person, and then those will be good to go. My what are the business card floss straps came yesterday. I've been thinking about ordering them for like months, and of course like they came like a week before, and I just need to punch holes in those and then put them with stuff. Like that's why I have a lot of stuff like not packed yet for as far as gifts, is because I wanted to throw one of those cards in each one. So I had been waiting for those to come, and then that card to come also, so that I'm going to put my floss cards in there in my small, and then write my little note for my small. I need to do that, and then my small will be like all done. I can wrap it. Yeah. Okay. I want to show you my planner, my stitchy planner, and then we can talk about starts. So here is April. So I keep moving this post. I pull this post-it note off every time I show you. I keep just moving. It's a count from February or something, and I keep moving it around because I haven't put it in my Google Sheets. But that's my stitching so far. And yeah, I did track my wool applique on there. I don't track my knitting on here. It's mostly just cross stitch, but I did, because it's needle and thread, I just decided to put my applique on there. We'll see how like crazy that gets. I'm hoping I won't need to count it as a finish to get my 23 finishes for 23, but maybe I'll have to in the end, and then we'll say that it's close enough to cross stitch that it counts. Okay, let's talk about starts. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I'm sorry. So I am at 11 finishes for 2023 so far. My goal is 23, so I'm well on my way. And I have 2 starts to show you that are both small. So like soon to be, knock on wood, finishes for those two. I currently have 18 whips going, and my goal is to stay under 23 whips at all times this year for 23. Not because it actually matters, but just because I wanted to have some kind of like fun 2023 themed rules, and because this hair is crazy. And because, again, like that balance of too many whips and stress, because like the things that I have a bunch of stash and those call to me, but like once it's like in a bag and like on a scroll frame or whatever, and like I'm not touching it, it's like it cries. It's like I open the lid to my like scroll frame container. It's right here, which is why I'm like leaning this way. And they're like, stitch me, stitch me, stitch me, pick me. And I'm like, I can't pick you. I have to do this thing. So, and I love everything I like. It's if I pick up something and I'm not loving it, like, unless I'm just going through, if I know that it's a phase because I'm like pushing myself or something, everything I pick up I love. So it's not like I'm picking things I don't love over things that I do. It's just I love everything, and I feel guilty for not having things done. So that's what works for me for right now, and it'll probably change, but that's anyways. Okay, so you know that I've talked about that before. So 2 starts. Stop talking and show you. Tea-berry tile. I had talked about wanting to do this one. This is ink circles, and Trainway Silks did their like the cross stitch the X stitch the rainbow. Has been doing a thing where the designers pick a floss company to promote. The floss company picks a palette, and then everyone stitches the theme with the palette. And all of the stitches have to be like within a certain size so that they're all small. They're all the same size. Oh wow. I don't know about this. So I have like this super cute board, that I got from Top Knot, and like the silk is like sticking to it because it's so fine and beautiful. Like, even though this is pretty smooth, it's just a slightly like pressed board. You'd have to really be paying attention to think that it's sticky until the floss sticks to it. So maybe not as good of an idea as I thought, but I know a lot of people put silk in floss away bags. The idea of having floss away bags like makes me never want to stitch on anything. It's just not. If I had stuff put away in baggies, I'd be so annoyed to get it out. So it's just not for me. I'm glad that it's for someone else. Anyways, okay. Enough of that. It doesn't look like a whole lot, but it's actually not that much stitching, and it's pretty far along, actually. So I started in the middle. Here's my coffee cup, and then I kind of worked up some berries, and then I'm starting on the vine. So here's the pattern. So there's really not like a ton of stitching here, and I think I've maybe spent 2 hours on this so far. So super tiny travel project. It probably shouldn't be in its hoop because I know how this works. But I'm also lazy and I don't take things off hoops unless I'm like done. No, I'm not going to touch it for a while. What am I stitching this on? It is a 36 count fiber on a whim parchment, maybe? I don't know. I think it's parchment. Not sure. I had a giant piece that I decided to do most of the pieces on. There's one Manny Donna piece where it's like the little like needle book / tea bag book. There's like 2 pages, and I got the finishing kit for. The floss hanging. That one I think has to be stitched on 32. But the rest I think I'll stitch on 36, and I'm hoping this one will fit if it looks good because it's square. I have like the circle frame from Signed and Numbered that was too small. I think it will fit in here, or this will fit in it. Again, assuming that putting a square in a circle doesn't look weird. I don't know. We'll see. If not, I'm sure I will find something at some point for it. Okay, and then this next thing, I like saw Salt Box Stitcher Carol. I love watching her. I don't know exactly what it is about her. She's just kind of, I don't know. She's Carol, Saltbox. she's funny but chill, and she stitches a lot of old samplery stuff that I love. It's not old, but it's like reproduction sampler. And she does stitch prolifically, and she has a lot of samplers. And I don't know. You all know who she is, I'm sure. But she was stitching them, and I was like, I have to have those. And I thought that they were new, because like it was half listening, stitching kind of thing when I was watching her. And so I was like, oh, like these must be market releases. I looked all over my local needle workshop. The wool store I went to is starting to carry cross stitch, which is super exciting. And they didn't have them. And so I went on 123 Stitch and ordered them. And then I got them, and they're from 2019. So like, I'm a new stitcher. It's fair that I don't know like what's new and what's old yet, but it's the spring salt boxes. And I love them. And I love them both for different reasons. I love this blue house. I'm not excited for the back stitching, but I love the quilty stars. They're my jam because I'm a quilter. And then I love this teal house because it's teal. These colors are very reminiscent of my Christmas garden that I just stitched. These are a little tealier. I ended up using, of course, a Roxy Flosstube conversion. But 2 of the reds are from the holiday collection. I'm using Holiday Punch and On Holiday. Carrie, please dye On Holiday because I'm like stretching the skein to no end to try and use it for as many things as I can because it's the perfect muted like raspberry red. I'll show it to you. So I started with the teal house. Carol started with the teal house too because she liked the blue house better, and she didn't stitch the one she liked the least. She wouldn't want to stitch the other one. And I feel not the same way because I love them both, but I went with this is a little outside of Geraldine's box. I went a little outside of my box as far as fabric color, but I'm pretty happy with it. So here is my start on spring salt box. I'm calling this number 2 because it's like left to right, the second pictured in the pattern, because these are counting for me as separate finishes. So again, I'm using a Roxy Flosstube conversion. This color is Midnight, and it is the best blue. It's like a tealy blue, but it's a little bit dirty. It's my favorite. Carrie, you can make that a part of our collection, please. And when I started, I like got this green in just to stitch over from the corner. And then of course, you know, that's my jam, that's my style. Like stitch the house, stitch the outline of the house, get the windows in, and then I can do the fill-in later. So I like to do a lot of fill-in in chunks when I kind of get the counting out of the way sort of thing. Or if I have something that I want to do fill-in with, like I can do that fill-in. But when I have like concentrated stitchy time at home, the goal is to do that to get all the counting done. So yeah, when I got just like, so I got just this teal color. Oh geez, my camera is shaking, sorry. Ooh, that made it worse. I was like, ooh, I don't know on this linen, it's too bright. But I'm like, okay, I'll keep going, I'll see. I think I'm really gonna love it. It's a little muted in the camera, but it's pretty good. It is Be Stitch Me Pink Chocolate in 40 count. I'm using 1 strand, and my colors are Morganite, which I'm excited for. These 20 stitches, one of their patterns for Stitch North. That sampler has craisins, or Morganite and craisins in it. I like craisins too. The Midnight, the one of 2 new additions requested to the main line, please. Pine and Dandy is one of the greens that I'm using. This came from the box. I think this might have made an appearance in the standard collection. Legendary, which is the most legendary white. It's a very common choice for white from Roxy Flosstube. Teal Fortune, which started as a Floss Cup color and I believe is now a part of the main line. And so Teal Fortune, and did I pick Baja? in the end because I went back and forth with a few. I picked Baja. So the darker one is Baja, and then Teal of Fortune. Teal of Fortune was the closest match to the called for over-dyed floss. That was there's a little bit of weeks in there. But I just wanted a little bit tealier. Like I didn't want that side of the house to be too pale. So those are the two that I went with. The brown, the roof will be hickory. Here's On Holiday. It's not, I don't think I put it down anywhere. Nope, I haven't. I haven't put it down anywhere. It goes in those flowers in the sky. I lied. I keep getting them wrong. Holiday Punch is my favorite color. That's the one that needs to come back. On Holiday is currently a part of the collection. It made an appearance after the holiday countdown box. So On Holiday is on here. It's the outline of all of the flowers. And you can see it in there with Legendary and Morganite. And then in some of those flowers, the fill-in is Holiday Punch. This is the very best muted red, raspberry red color. If I can only get the name right. And then Sage and Light Sage. I don't know if they're called for in this pattern or if it's in the next one. I haven't gotten that far to like do leaves and stuff. So these were actually pretty, I didn't take them to the store, but like I went to the store and looked at them and then came home and then used my DMC card. These are pretty close to the two grays from Weeks that were called for. And I just love that I don't have to buy Weeks and I can have my beautiful Roxy Floss. The other thing, like, I mean, there's like the whole thing about Weeks and some of their colors and why they thought it was okay to name them those things. And now they've changed them-ish. But they come in like 5-yard skeins. And so if you're going to stitch, like for this project, that's fine. But like if you're like there's other projects where if you're going to like stitch a sampler, you have to buy like 2 or 3 skeins of Weeks to have enough to do like that color from a sampler. So I don't know. I don't love them for a few reasons. Just not drawn to their colors as much either. So I don't know. Anyways, maybe I'll feel differently someday. But for now, I love my Roxy. I don't know if I'll ever feel differently about that. But one more look because I love it. It's so cute and it's little. It's going fast. I have I don't know because I don't keep track. I probably have 5 or 6 hours into it. Maybe that seems like maybe a little over. Maybe that's a little more than what I actually have in it, but it feels like it's going fast. Like I feel really close to being able to just getting to the fill-in. Like I got some more flowers, just a little bit more in the flowers to do. I got some stems, the bees I have to finish, and then the house. There is 3 rows of stitching of white all the way around, and then there's like this much white, so because it's supposed to look like a Polaroid, I'm just going to do 3 stitches wide all the way around, and then there's enough on here to do both, so I'm just going to scroll up and do the next one. I love my little mini scroll frame, and then like I struggled starting these because I wasn't quite sure what to do with them. I don't know that I am quite sure what to do with them still. I have the other 3 sets of patterns, so I got them all together. Summer, winter, which I love, like these ones, and I love this red house too, and those pines, and then autumn. I really love. Like I love the patterns. I feel like I could do a little bit with these, like especially I feel like there's a little more I could like. It's a little bit, that house is just a little gray, but like I don't want it to be bright, but like maybe I can do something a little funner with the blue. So I really like the autumn. I really like the winter. I love the spring. And so I thought about doing something all together. I wonder if maybe I would save them and then like sew them together by hand when they're all done so that like the fabric is different. But like I don't love summer. I like the little sheepies. The houses are super cute. I like the quilt on the side of this house, but like this doesn't scream summer to me. Like these houses are so like blah. Like they're just plain. They're not like bright fun summer. So I have to think maybe about this situation. And I'm not like super into patriotic things for decor. So I think I could just not do it on the horse, but then like this flag, I don't know if I would just leave it out or what, but I do know. I like the shape of the houses. I like the idea that the little sheepies are quilts. That's super cute. The flowers are pretty. Maybe it's the picture, but the colors just are not. I don't know. Anyways, not a decision I have to make today, right? But I just gave you a little preview of haul. Okay, so I'm working on my goals for 2023. I've shown you them before. So like some of them have monthly progress, some of them have weekly progress. I'm on track for most of them, though I have not touched Rejoice Evermore this month. And I'm probably not gonna, I don't think I'm gonna take it with me. So my hope is to touch that this week before I go, after I get my weekly stitching done. Which I'm close to. I just have my friendship sampler needs probably today to get stitched. But I decided, before I decided to rearrange my office, I decided that I would try a little bit of a different way to film my whips, because they're bigger ones on scroll frames, and so they're hard to show you holding them and like them not being see-through and on the scroll frame. So I'm going to insert a video here of those, and I'll catch you on the flip side. All right, whip number 1 is, let's see if I can get it. I can't quite get it all in frame. Whip number 1 is Reaching Skyward by Modern Folk Embroidery. This is my year-long sal that I am stitching on 36 count porcelain, 1/2 with amaretto, and Seize the Day is the blue. And so let's see, this month I really concentrated on catching up this border over here. I'll move it up now that you've seen the top. And then I think I had a little bit of fill in here left to do, and then getting this side here and kind of the main event piece of the sampler kind of mapped out, outlined. This is where the giant medallion will go in the middle. So yeah, next month I think I will probably be starting on the pillars and probably the inside a little bit. I am planning on doing different, so each medallion has a little bit of a different amaretto in here fill-in pattern. I'm going to do a different one for each corner, and then each of the pillars, there's 2 options for the pillars, so each pillar will have a little bit of a different pattern to go along there. So yeah, I made good progress. I'm 50% done, which, wait, 40% done. Sorry. I'm 40% done on this piece. No, I think I'm 50, because I'm trying to get done by, I don't know. I'm quite a ways done. It's amazing how much I have done already. It feels like there's so much to go, but I'm loving this piece. It's really coming along very well. All right, so my next larger piece to show you is Ink Circles Dog's Declaration. So this is what it will look like when I'm done, but I am doing this in a Roxy Flosco conversion. My fabric is Honey by Bestitch Me. It was a Fabric of the Month pattern, or Fabric of the Month last year for one of the months. Let's see if I can get this all in frame here. So this is what I have done so far. Since you've seen this last, I think I got in quite a bit of the squirrels. I've worked on this, my goal is to work on this every week. So I got squirrels in, The I will have an acorn for the top, so that's why I'm missing that there. And then I did all of Liberty except for the Y. I got a little bit tired of the brown, and so I moved down and started work on this tree to get me caught up through. I'm a little bit over this week's worth of stitching, so I have a little bit of a head start on next week for this one. So I am loving working on this. So far, I'm really enjoying the conversion that I picked as well. Give you a little sneak peek of what that is. So the called for is Valdani, so I switched that up. All right, and then my last big sampler is the Friendship Sampler. So I have worked on this since the last time you've seen it. This is the pattern by Maximum Cross Stitch. And I am doing quite a bit of a switch up on it. So my house is a little bit higher. Since you've seen it last, I started a little bit on the alphabet. That's this week's worth of stitching. That's all I've done for this week so far, except for a little bit of kind of finishing the house. So my focus has been to get the house done. I'm stitching this on 36 count Odd Duck by Roxy Floss Co. with the called for floss, with the exception of this purple down here, Duchess, instead of there's some haystack, which I'm still using in places, but I wanted a little bit of purple in this sampler because purple is one of my favorite colors. So the house is mapped out, it's mortared, it just needs bricks and a roof. And so I wanted to get that done in preparation for retreat stitching because I will be taking this with me to Stitch North. So I thought that would be a really great thing to work on. I'm really, really excited to see this house come to life with Falu Red. For the red brick. So I'm really enjoying this house. It's probably my favorite house that I've stitched so far. But I'll have lots of fill-in between the brick and the roof, the grass, and then these steps are a different color as well. So lots of easy fill-in stitching. My plan tonight is to get my weekly stitching done on this piece, which would hopefully this I don't know about the over one, but at least getting this alphabet in will get me a good way there, along with completing this. It has this border has 3 lines of stitching, so I can always get that done to kind of get in my quota for stitching. My goal is to have this done by August because the rumor is there's a new stitch along coming from Ellen, and there's also a knitting component with it, so I'm very excited about that. Yeah, that's really what I've been stitching on as far as my big whips. All right, so happy with the progress I'm making on those. It's hard to put down Dog's Declaration now that I'm kind of seeing it come to life, getting most of the words in. So I just have a little bit, I think I have like 5 letters left, and then it's all just like the fun motifs around it. And I can put that espresso away, give it a break because it's a lot of espresso. Yeah. And then Reaching Skyward was a little bit of a struggle towards the end. The last half of this month's worth of stitching was just because it wasn't like the fun motif stuff. It was a lot of like fill, like just random. I don't love like snowflakes or like the things where you have to like jump around and it's like you count and then you do like 20 stitches and you like count over here and you like do like that's not my favorite when I stitch. I love to just kind of like stitch. I don't know if that even makes sense. So I struggled a little bit with the last half because I wanted to make myself do some of the things that I don't love, so I don't save all the things I don't love for the end, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, I keep touching the desk, which is wiggling the camera, because I have it like on this big long clampy thing that just is wobbly. And I remember being confused about where I was at on Reaching Skyward. So I am at 40% with a goal to be done by the end of October. So I'm doing 10% a month. I knew that. I don't know why I questioned myself. So what next month I'll be able to get back in and fill in like some of those pillars and like on the inside, and I'll be excited about it again. It's just I was distracted by like some of the finishes that I had, and so then it was like the middle of the month and I was like, I need to finish this, but I also like have other things that I planned to work on, and so I think it was fine. I love the stitch. I do have one knitting whip that I want to show you in this cute bag from Polka Dot Creek. I had a moment of panic. I think I showed this a few Flosstubes ago just as the yarn that I had purchased. And I have not shown you it since. I think I had started it since my last Flosstube, but I just hadn't grabbed it to show you. I'm looking for the front page. There it is. So this is the Rocket TDK by Tanis Fiber Arts. That is the picture of the finished sweater. It's meant to be a fairly lightweight, like a spring fall sweater. It's got those cute, like, wide bell sleeves. You can make them normal. She has both in here how to do, like, a straighter sleeve or, like, the roomier sleeve. I'm not putting sleeves on mine. I want to make this more like a t-shirt. So, I mean, it will have sleeves. It'll be, like, short sleeves. And so my goal the last week or so has been to get it to the point where I've knit off the sleeves, like not knit them off, but like set them aside, so that I'm just doing the body, and then it's like, it should be pretty straightforward. So like basically getting all the increases done. And then I think once all the increases done, it's meant to be a loose, like she says, like you should have like 4 to 6 inches of ease or something on it, positive ease. So once you get like where you do the sleeves and you get like just to the main body of the sweater, it's just straight down stitching, and then you got to do like the sleeves and then the trim around everything. I don't know how much of this you're going to actually be able to make sense of, but so you also, this is a little bit different because it's V-neck, you knit it flat. And so I was knitting flat, knitting flat, knitting flat. I have like 6 rows, 4 or 6, I don't remember, rows where it's finally in a circle. So you start back here like with your first row that's like shorter, and then you like add increases. You crazy, it's like 10, I think it's like 10 increases every right side round to get this shape. So it's hard to see because it's like much wider down here, but it's on my circulars. But it has this cute, like, is that a raglan detail? Is that what that's called? In the shoulders, on the front and on the back. And I am knitting it with Emma's yarn, and I am holding the fingering weight with a mohair together, and they're in the same colorway, which is Harbor. So these are my 2 balls of yarn. I have more in here, but I am a little bit worried, even though there's mohair. I don't know, because it's hand dyed. You can see like the variation in the tonal color fairly well, even though I wasn't sure with the mohair. So once I get to where like I have the same number of stitches every round, I'm gonna start alternating skeins of yarn to prevent getting pooling. I wasn't quite sure if I would need to, but now like looking at like this whole back piece, like you can tell that there's like, it's just not like a solid color, it's tonal. So I don't want to get pooling. I was pretty confident like knitting flat because it's like 10 increases around that I was gonna maybe be okay. So I've never knit with 2 skeins at the same time. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But I think I'll figure it. I think it will be fine. The side seam all the way down matches this like raglan seam here. So I don't know if it will be okay because I'll be able to hide it like in the stitch in the middle, or if I'll have to be careful about that. So I should probably put, what is it called? A lifeline? That's what it's called. Like, it has a very purposeful, like, kind of slang term. I need to put I was brave and I didn't put a lifeline in. I probably should have when I joined in the round, and everything worked out, I think. But I should put a lifeline in before I split for the sleeves, just in cases, or when I split for the sleeves, just in case something goes awry. I'm using these cute little stitch markers. They're little Yorkies out of clay that I got I don't even remember. It was on Etsy a long time ago. So they're adorable. Okay. That's my knitting. Those are all my whips. I have a sock whip I haven't touched in a while. I still have the one lonely sock for my daughter from that sock tube that I haven't knit the second one for her, because whatever knitting I have been able to do, I've been wanting to do with the Rocket Tee because it's getting nice out and I want to have at least one. I have a couple on the go actually, but I wanted at least one to have done for like the spring summertime. So that's this one. I chose DK with the fingering and the mohair because in my head, a DK sweater would knit up faster than a fingering weight sweater. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I think once I start going and I like don't have this like every round before like flat, like it was like, you know, when you add 10 every round, it's like so many stitches to finish a round. Like you start little, you're like moving fast, like because you feel like a new round is like a new beginning, right? Like it's a way to mark your knitting progress. So anyways, once I get those, like all of that width for the sleeves off, I think it will go pretty quick. I'm hoping. That's what I'm telling myself. I think I want to show you one other whip because it's super cute. And I talked about it a while ago. Oh my gosh, what is that was almost disastrous. My circular needle, one of the needle tips was stuck in my Raskog cart. You know how it has like the holes in the bottom? And I like got stuck and I panicked, and luckily it didn't pull my knitting off. So this is, again, not something you'll be able to see very well. This is the Sea Glass Tee. One of my new Stitchy group friends, Shelby, she had a recent Flosstube. I'll link her down below. She knits and cross stitches. She just started the Sea Glass Tee too, and when I saw her Flosstube video last week, I was like, we're like in the same spot. So it is the Sea Glass Tee, and it's meant to be stitched with all of your fingering weight extras. It's by Wool and Pine. They also have a Sea Glass DK. It's meant to be 1x1 color work that you knit with a new piece of yarn every round for both sets of yarn. I wasn't sure how much I would love that, at least for my first one. So I don't have a ton. I have a ton of fingering yarn. I don't have a ton of fingering yarn. That is scrap because I'm fairly new to knitting and I haven't been knitting a ton of socks. I want to knit more socks, but I'm just not there yet. So again, the idea was having like a cute handmade lightweight tee to wear in like the spring, fall, summer, because it'll be short sleeve. So I chose 2 Emma's yarn in, I don't even remember now. This was a crazy beautiful like Merlot color. They do, I think, have a Merlot color. That this one was really similar, but a little bit purplier. And then this one is called Farmer's Market. And so it's got like a bunch of purple and teal and yellow, a little bit, just a slight bit of yellow, mostly green and teal. And so instead of doing 1x1 color work and switching every round, because I only have 2 colors, I am doing 1x1 color work, and I'm alternating around. So it's hard to see because, let me see if there's a spot, because I'm doing increases, and so it kind of, you lose the pattern just a little bit. But the idea is you do 1x1, and then you do color A solid all the way through that round, and then you do 1x1, alternate your 1x1, and then you do the other, like color B solid, so that you're getting like 3 rows. So you're getting 2 rows of 1x1 sandwiched around one solid color, and then you get the same the next, like, so then you have 2 rows of 1x1 color work that's alternated, and then a solid color. It's the same as a pair of socks that I'm knitting that I haven't been working on. I started during Flossmas. So I'm not super far. I haven't touched this in a while. You can see all the increases are marked with light bulb pins. But this is fingering weight. It's going to be beautiful when it's done. I'm really excited. I'm getting to the point where I need to put on longer. I use, it's not Knitter's Pride. Knit Picks. These are Knit Picks wood needles, interchangeable needles. So for non-sock size needles, those are my, I don't know if they're preferred because I've gotten used to metal knitting socks, but I really like them. They're great. I like the wood ones. They're nice. But I was scared of metal as a new knitter because I worry about my stitches falling off my needles, which I still have problems with every once in a while, and I panic. So yeah, it's good though. I need to get back to it. It's super cute. So I loved those socks so much. I was like, that would be really cute as a sweater. So hopefully I'm right. Okay, let's do a haul really quick, and then we can talk quickly about plans, hopefully, and then be done, because this is, again, longer. I meant to do a Flosstube sooner, and I just didn't get to it, and then it became, like, long, because I had so much to show you. Okay. I put this in my bucket of haul, because I wanted to talk about this. I've been making a lot of little fun things. E6000 is awesome. It has its place. If you haven't used it before, it's a multi-purpose glue it works with metal and glass and wood and lots of fabric, lots of things that it will stick to. It's really good for putting magnets to make your own needle minders. And I used it to make cabochons. It is, it's depending on what you're doing, it can be kind of like stringy, like it I don't know how, it's jelly, and so it can get a little stringy. It says right on there, it's medium viscosity. So I was dabbling in making counting pins using E6000. It was a bottle or a tube that I had that was that size, but like I didn't realize the cap had broken. So like the cap here was broke, so it was like letting the glue gradually dry, which is probably also part of my problem. I was a little bit stringy. But anyway, so I found E7000 on Amazon when I was looking for E6000, and it said it was really good for jewelry making, and I looked at a little bit of information about it, and it's like runnier E6000. I don't know if this is actually true, but my perception of it is that it's like runnier E6000, and it has like a needle tip applicator. So it's a blunt tip for if you know gauges because you're in the medical field or for some other reason, it's like probably a 16 or an 18 gauge blunt tip. So I feel like it's a lot more precise. You don't have to necessarily use another thing to applicate. That's what I was going to say, to apply the glue to the thing that you're working on. So I think they both have their purpose. So I put the E6000 in there as a reminder to talk about both of them, because now that I have the E7000, I'm a super fan of E7000. It works really well. So I went to the wool shop and got my wool, and I told you I have a spring thing that I was working on. I also couldn't resist this wool ornament kit. How adorable is he? So this is buttermilk basins. The kit is called Christmas Gnome Ornament. Don't go to their website. They have a million cute things, and it's really, really, really dangerous. So my kit came with all the little buttons for his little ornaments on the tree, and then all the cute wool for the gnome. Yeah, it's been really fun doing the other one. So I will probably wait to do him until a little closer to Christmas, or I have some experience with the one that I'm currently working on. So I have that one I chose to use heat and bond type. It wasn't actually heat and bond, but whatever that, fusible webbing, that's what it's called, paperback fusible webbing, to trace my pieces and put them on. Found some super awesome tips for placing applique just right. I had no idea that you could use Teflon to iron on so that what isn't sticking to pieces of fabric just stays how it is, and so you can basically you can layer your fusible pieces and iron them without everything sticking, so that you can move that then layer of fusible to your wool to put it on. If you know, you know. It's pretty amazing. Some stitchy friends and I are talking about jumping into the I don't even remember what it's called. It's the Ink Circle Round Robin, the Most Magnificent Ink Circles Round Robin. And so we're going to get started in a couple months, a month or so. And so I went on Ink Circles to get some patterns, because one of the things I love about Ink Circles is that she offers PDF and print patterns. So I can PDF and then it goes on Pattern Keeper, or I can choose to use paper, and I have options. So this is not one of the pieces that I'm thinking about for that stitch, but I found this Get Crackin'. I had never seen it before, and I had to have it. It's got like Scandinavian or Norse alphabet. It has a saying on it. It's a story about some Dutch ships who went out searching for a sea monster in a bay somewhere. She talks about it, and I tried to look up the story, and I couldn't find it. It says, and thus began the epic battle, and no man escaped his watery grave. So it's a reproduction of an antique Dutch sampler that commemorates the Battle of 1694, in which so many lives were lost. It was originally thought the ships were whaling vessels, but some believe they were actually in the Greenland Sea, attempting to trap the legendary Greenland Sea mermaids. All lives were lost upon encountering the great sea monster, although the men fought fiercely before their ships were crushed and sunken. The wreckage found later on the Icelandic coast and story songs crafted by witnessing ship's crew have helped to keep their heroic story alive. Or maybe I just made all that up, is the asterisk. That's funny. So that's why I didn't find anything about it. But it's super fun. I love the pirate theme. It's something that I might stitch for my husband and like put in our bedroom beside on his side of the bed or something. So that will get kitted in probably Roxy Flossco at some point when I'm ready to start it. But okay, so here are my options. A Holly Jolly Mandala. So if you haven't heard of this Sal before, the idea is that you and your stitchy friends get together. You pick a mandala by Ink Circles. It's in this like I mean, you can do whatever you want, but like the idea is like roughly the same size. So she's got a lot of like the 100 to 200 stitch size, square size of mandalas. And so you only stitch like your quarter, and then you pass it on with all your stuff. And then so like everybody stitches a quarter of 4 different patterns. And then you have a finished piece when you're done, but you got to stitch a bunch of different ink circles in the process. And then you have a piece that your stitchy friends have helped you with. So my second option is lace flowers. I like this one. I like the colors in this one. It's definitely for me like a battle between too much color switching and like the look of having multiple colors. And then I really like this mandala. It's brown. I don't love that it's like brown. So this is Flower Power. It'd be really fun with like a variegated floss maybe. I don't know. I liked the shape of this pattern. I don't necessarily love that it's just plain brown. So I have to think through what floss I would want to use if I choose that one. So those are my 3 options. I haven't chosen which one I would do. I was at the quilt shop that has wool that now has cross stitch. I got this Chubby Bunny pattern. It was super cute, super simple. I could totally just grab from stash and stitch that up pretty quick. And it's a Jeanette Douglas, who I'm excited about. You've seen this before. I've got my copy of Crowns and Shields when I got my salt boxes from 123 Stitch. It's a super cute collection of charts based on an antique sampler. That's going to go in my stash. The Facebook stash unloading group is super dangerous. So shortly after Caroline showed, Caroline from Evertote Off the Grid Needle Art, she showed her almost finished stitch of the Loose Feathers summer, autumn, winter. They came up on stash unloading. And these aren't out of print. I think you can still get these, but I got them from stash unloading. So those are going to go on my list. And so you can finish them separately, or you can like stitch them together. Or I think the idea is that you either stitch them all in one piece, or you stitch them separate and then you sew them together. Maybe. That one looks like they're just stitched together. And there are a few smalls in each of these books, which is also fun. So yeah. What are they from? 2011. So these are pretty old. I'm surprised we can still get these. I swear I saw them on like 1, 2, 3 Stitch. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, okay. And then I showed you my salt boxes, and that's all my haul except for, so this weekend is, it's like all the stitchy things. It's kind of crazy. So this stitch weekend, it's a stitch weekend for sure. This weekend is 24 hours of cross stitch. I will be participating as best that I can. That just means that I keep track of how long I've stitched over the weekend. And I signed up for the Jeanette Douglas Acorns and Threads retreat that's this weekend as a virtual option. So I received my box on Monday. We're not supposed to open it until the retreat starts on, for me, it will be it'll be Saturday afternoon. So because it's actually kind of nice because I can like have the morning to like do stitchy stuff and like kind of wake up or get things done around the house. And then the retreat for me will be from 12:30 until 6. So it'll be a Zoom. We're not supposed to open the box. I opened the box. I like went like this because I can't, like it's like Christmas morning. So I like went like this and I saw a chart with a little charm. I didn't see what the chart was. There was just like a little random like thing in there. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I was like, no, Geraldine, they said to wait. How are you going to pretend to be excited on Zoom if you already know what's in the box? Stop. So it's like sitting over there and like, so I've had it since Monday. I opened it, but I didn't like look. I didn't really look on Monday night. And like a few times this week, I've been like, just a peek. Like, do I really need to be surprised? Like, so I only have I have like 36 hours. I can wait 36 hours. I'm really excited to see what's in there. So it's 12:30 to 6 on Saturday and Sunday. So that'll be, it's not 8 hours, it's 5.5. So there's 11 hours right there that I'm going to count towards my stitching time, plus my Friday evening stitching and whatever other stitching I can get in this weekend. I'm pretty much ready for, like I said, I'm pretty much ready for Stitch North. It's just kind of wrapping things up, finishing that small for my retreat mat. And then I need to figure out how to carry my scroll frames. If I was just like going to like Stitchy Group at Panera or something, I wouldn't worry about it. But because I want to take multiple frames, and I'm taking them pretty far and like into a hotel and all of those things, and like need to have a place to kind of squirrel them away when I'm not working on them. I have an idea in my head of using quilting cotton and Bozal to make like a square bottomed tube bag. Does that make sense? But like I don't want to make the top square because that would, well, I guess I could like sew. I could sew the zipper all the way around. That might be a little much for like last minute sewing. But something that I could like put them in all together and like kind of keep them sort of like a poster tube. None of my scroll frames are overly huge. I think the pieces that I'm bringing, the biggest one is maybe 24 inches, maybe. And I don't even think it is because I feel like the 24 inch ones, well, maybe Friendship Sampler is 24. It might just be 20 or 22. So they're not like overly huge. I think I can comfortably stitch with it in my lap and like not be obtrusive to my neighbors. I have my big lap stand that I bought to take with me. I might throw it in my car, but I don't think I'm going to take it in unless I feel like I need it later. I'm going to take my Case Creation because I feel like it's a little smaller, but I can still get most of my scroll frames on it. But I've been stitching on the couch just like this, where I just kind of hold it like this. Because I love using the sewing method, I need my fingers behind it anyways. To kind of help push the fabric forward. So I think I'll mostly just stitch in hand. I'll have, I'm going to take my chair cushion that I'm sitting on, and like it has a back support. So I wonder if too, I can like pull the back support off every once in a while and like use that, or like lean on the table, those kinds of things. So anyways, like that's the last minute, that's the last thing that I might need to do something for would be the scroll frames. But otherwise I just got to pack and make sure I take with what I want to take with. And probably more than I'll need. But But yeah, I'm really excited. I don't think I'll see you before I go because it's going to be busy. Work and evening activities next week are going to be nuts. And then so Monday night I have something, Tuesday night we have something, Wednesday night we'll be making sure the family is good to go and that I'm packed. And then I'm not like in a super hurry to leave Thursday morning. It's like a 5 or 6 hour trip. And like nothing starts on Thursday, but like I want to get there and like sit in the hotel room and stitch, or sit in the hotel lobby and stitch if I find some stitchers, run around and do the Canadian shopping thing because that's fun, or whatever. So you probably like I'm just not gonna have time to film again. So I hope that you're all well. I hope that your stitching fills your bucket and brings you joy, and I will see you in May. I can't believe it's the middle of April already. So take care. Bye.